Do you have some sort of unexplainable disease that doctors refuse to talk to you about? Well, go to the hospital. Well, they'll just cut your heart out instead. We watched X-Ray, aka the Hospital Massacre. We watched it so you don't have to, so you know what time it is.
Horrible horror, so bad it's scary. Splitting up is never okay. Plot, who needs it? Don't turn on the lights, cars don't ever start, but that's alright. Running upstairs instead of out the door. Good acting, what do we need that for? Horrible horror, so bad it's scary. Enjoy the show, but not really.
Happy Valentine's Day, Moon Goons! It is that time of year. Love is in the air. Cupid's flying around, shooting people with arrows, which I think is just, crazy and irresponsible. But whatever. It is Valentine's Day. We watched Hospital Massacre, aka X-Ray, here on the Horrible Horror Podcast, the show where we watch the worst of worst in horror movies. Movies so bad they're scary. I am all sorts of messed up with my intro today, but who the fuck cares? I'm Marshall Hampton, your host. With me today is Aaron Southworth, my co-host. We're all sorts of giddy for this movie because it is a shit fest. Aaron, how are you doing today? Before we get into
I love you,
this,
Marshall. I love you with all my heart. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day. It's that time of year when you buy the chocolates, you get the flowers, you book the reservation at the restaurant.
It's the time of year you love it or hate it. If you got that sweet somebody, you love it. If you're single, you fucking hate it.
Yeah. It seems it's always the way. But when you're married, you're just like, well, how about I just buy a $10 teddy bear, cook a dinner, and call it a day.
I gotta put my stretchy pants on and start binge watching this new show on Netflix.
Did I just like tip my cat towards what I'm doing? Maybe. Yeah. Sorry, honey.
This week we watched the movie named X-Ray, also known as Hospital Massacre, and a bunch of other shit we'll get into later.
And I bet you're thinking to yourself, why? Why would you be watching this?
It doesn't sound like a Valentine's Day movie, but it surprisingly is. This
Sort
movie,
of.
sort of. It was released in April of 1982, written by Mark Behem, with credit for the story going to
Mark what?
Behem, B-E-H-M.
When you said BM, I was like, Mark Baumove, and I'm like, appropriate name.
Yeah, it would be. And then it was directed by Boaz Davidson.
Boaz.
Boaz.
And BM. Oh my-
Boaz. You can find this movie on Amazon if you do choose to want to try to watch it. The cast, not a whole lot here to talk about. There's only two people I'm going to mention here. The first is Charles Lucia. He plays Harry. He had 74 credits. He was in the Lori Petty movie back in the 90s, Tank Girl.
Tank Girl.
He was in Tank Girl.
Ice-T was in Tank Girl also.
He was also, I thought this was fun, he was in the pilot episode of the 1980s TV show Small Wonder about the little robot girl.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he just did the pilot and then they replaced him for the regular show. But and he was also in Vice Versa, which is the Judge Reinhold Fred Savage body swapping movie.
Fucking
from the
love
80s.
that movie.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of that time. 18 Again, Vice Versa.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Father Like Son.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of body swapping
Freaky,
movies.
the Freaky Friday
Freaky
stuff.
Fri- yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was like a big thing in the 80s. I think, and I will mention John Van Ness just because this is the second time he's come up on our little show here. He was in 43 credits along with Alligator 2, The Mutation, The Hitcher, The Postman always rings twice, and like I said, for us here, he was in Tourist Trap where he played Jerry, which was a movie we did
Nice, yeah.
way back when.
Mhm.
Now, the main get of this movie, the big star of the movie, for the time is Barbi Benton. She plays the lead character Susan. Now, she has only 22 credits for her career of acting, but she was a big name at the time. She was in Love Boat, Fantasy Island, a movie called Death Stalker, which is I think like a
It's
cheap
like a
Conan, it's like a
barbarian,
cheap Conan the Barbarian ripoff.
Yeah. Kind of like Beastmaster.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think the
it's-
guy from Beastmaster is actually in that movie
Who
as the
knows?
barbarian. Yeah.
Now, again, her claim of fame was, she was famous for being
Hot.
beautiful, being hot.
She's easy on the eyes. I'll tell
yes.
you that, man. She's a good looking lady.
She did 2 different spreads in Playboy. She actually lived with Hugh Hefner for 7 years. from 1969 to 1976. She was 18 years old when she and he was 42 at the time when she moved to LA. And
you know he was all up in those goods.
it's been documented. It totally was. They had like a very open swingers relationship.
Boy, hef.
So she also went on to record 4 country and pop music albums for Playboy Records in the 70s. I didn't even know Playboy had a record label, but they did.
That seemed to be like the golden era of Playboy. It was like the late 70s,
Oh yeah,
early 80s.
definitely, yeah.
It was like Playboy everything.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That makes sense. Barbi Benton was played by Rebecca Herbst in the 1999 TV movie Hefner Unauthorized, so she was in a biofilm. Her first TV appearance was on the syndicated show Playboy After Dark, 1969, where she functioned as Hugh Hefner's co-host / sidekick, and she is now an interior decorator. And I found when I was doing my research on it, I found this quote by her, which is just absolutely insane when you stop and think about it. So it has nothing to do with movies or this movie. It's just a weird ass thing to say. So I had to read.
Let her rip.
All right. I believe that mink are raised to be turned into fur coats. And if we didn't wear fur coats, those little animals would never have been born. So is it better not to have been born or to have lived for a year or two to have been turned into a fur coat? I don't know.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, those minks out there in the wild, they were intended for us to wear as coats because
that's for life purpose. And if we don't kill them and wear them, then we are denied them of their life's
We
purpose.
are doing those minks a disservice by not butchering them and wearing their skins.
That's the craziest thing or one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
Yikes.
Oh my God.
No, we didn't exactly respect her, but my opinion of her kind of just dropped a bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, we're now moving on to the movie. The movie opens with this ear-piercing sound effect music. I mean, it almost makes my ears bleed. It's awful. And right off the bat, you notice that this movie suffers from an identity crisis. Because, like I said, it's called, when you look it up on Amazon, it says X-Ray. Almost everything online, X-Ray. YouTube, IMDb, it's all named X-Ray. But in the opening credits, it's called Hospital Massacre. So it's got 2 different names in the first 2 seconds of this movie. Now, which, by the way, I want to say, I think Hospital Massacre is a much better name for this movie than X-Ray. I have no idea why it was changed or whose idea it was, but I think Hospital Massacre is much better than X-Ray.
Yeah.
X-Ray really it's...
The only thing is they just look at X-rays from time to time.
Yeah, X-rays play a part in the movie, but the name of the whole movie, X-Ray, is retarded.
Yeah, it makes you think they're going to kill him with overexposure to radiation.
Yeah.
This will kill you in 30 years.
Or it sounds like, maybe it's like some like cheesy like 60s sci-fi movie where like X-rays are like going to be some super technology or something. I don't know. So after the credits, we go to Susan's house, 1961, which again I thought was a little weird because most of the time you say, oh, it'd be like Boston, 1961, or Chicago. Like they give you a city, but it's just Susan's house, or just say 1961. But
you know where that is. You
all know where
Susan's
Susan's house is. So we get a young Susan, and who I think was her brother, playing with a toy train set. And now,
lo and behold,
for you diehard Moon Goons, I was blown away by who plays young Susan. It's Elizabeth Hoy, the same girl who played Debbie in Bloody Birthday.
Yeah, which we just did a couple weeks ago.
A few weeks ago, yeah.
I saw that and I was like, holy shit,
yeah,
all right.
I had no idea until I was like, I did the same thing. I was like smiling.
Yeah, I was like, look at her, go, all right.
And so now you can definitely tell it's Valentine's Day in the movie because there's just red cutout hearts decorating this room. I thought to myself, now maybe back in the early 80s, they say Valentine's Day was a much bigger deal.
Well, this was 61.
61. The movie was made in April. Okay, 61. But I've never seen anyone decorate this much for Valentine's Day. I mean, they decorate their living room like it's Christmas.
Right, I know. I thought that was really strange too.
There's like heart garland laying around, going everywhere.
Like I used to manage a music store, and I remember like I used to decorate for like holidays and stuff. And they go, Aaron, you decorate for Valentine's Day. I'm like, fucking Valentine's Day. Okay, so I was
smack a heart up on the wall. We're done.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Yeah, I just hung up hearts, and that was it. I pushed fucking Frank Sinatra records and
some sweet Lionel Richie.
Yeah, some Marvin Gaye and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I've never seen so many Valentine's Day decorations in one house. The camera pans over to the window, and we see another young boy, the same age as Susan, like pop his head up and he's like creepy, just stares inside at Susan, and holy fuck,
Oh
I
my
shit
God.
you not, Moon Goons,
It's Curtis.
it's Billy Jane, aka Curtis from Bloody Birthday.
When I saw that, I was like,
I was like, oh my god, it's the sequel.
I couldn't get enough. I was just like, yes.
It's like Curtis has escaped from juvie and has tracked down Debbie, and they're about to go on a killing spree again.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, no. And even the blonde boy had a similarity.
Yeah, it's too bad that wasn't Steven.
Yeah. It's like the crew's back together again.
It's all back together. All I gotta say is those two kids had a very busy 1981 because both
Yeah,
Bloody
they did,
Birthday
yeah.
and this movie were filmed and came out at like the same time.
Like, you'd think they'd go, you know what? Maybe we should get someone different because maybe they'll make the connection. Like, nah.
No,
Maybe
man,
that'll be good.
you find a kid star, you want to drain those kids of all their life. So basically, Curtis creeps around to the front door and leaves a large red card on the doorstep, knocks the door, runs away, that whole gig. Susan answers the door, finds the card, takes it inside. And again, we see Curtis raise his head up outside the window to spy on Susan as she opens the card. And it's a Valentine's Day card asking Susan to be his Valentine.
From
And-
Harold.
Yeah, and we learn that Curtis's name, the kid's name is Harold in this movie. So now both Susan and her brother start laughing at the card. Like, Harold is like the biggest loser. Like, oh my God, can you believe this?
Yeah, he crumples it up and throws on the floor. Like,
Yep.
what a douche.
Yeah, it's like we might as well just stepped on and spit on it for good measure. Like, that's how bad this reaction was. So Harold is like glaring at him, giving like the death stare through the window. And Susan goes in the kitchen to cut cake, and her brother goes back to playing with the toy
This
train.
cake cutting scene, it was weird. The
It
way
was
they did
really weird.
So she's coming. She walks into the kitchen and pulls out a gigantic knife.
Oh, you mean a fucking machete?
Yeah, it was fucking huge.
I've never seen a knife that big in anybody's like individual kitchen.
And I think it was a mistake on whoever was shooting the photography because it looks like she's walking up creepily towards something, but you can clearly see at the edge there's part of the cake, and then she like starts to come down, and then they pull back to show the cake, but you can see most of it.
Yeah, they look like,
You know, like-
they make it look like she's creeping up like this, like to kill somebody with this thing, and then he's like, oh no, I'm just gonna cut the cake.
But you can clearly see the cake while she's creeping, so I'm like, she's gonna go cut that cake. Like there was just enough of it showing that I could identify that it was a fucking cake. It was stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was really dumb
I'm
too,
like,
and just a
I
waste
don't
of time.
understand.
So she after she's cut the cake, she hears noises coming from the living room. So she grabs the cake in hand and she goes back. And now at this point, I think I might have been wrong saying that this kid was her brother, because she says, "Look what my mom made us," which would be a weird thing for if they were
So
siblings.
this is her little boyfriend.
Yeah, so I'm like, they're the friends. This is her cute little baby boyfriend or something like that.
Ooh la la.
So regardless, it doesn't matter. So she enters the living room, she drops the cake and screams when she sees the now dead body of Dave, the boy, hanging by his head from a coat rack. Which, I'm sorry, I cannot do this scene justice. It's so crazy just to see this happen. It's like, what?
I don't know.
What?
Was the kid hanging? Was his head smashed through
There's
it?
so many questions.
I don't know
about
what's
this.
happening.
I
Like,
know.
he's just hanging by his head from the coat rack.
Like, I love it because, like I said, there's so many questions about this. First, but before I get into those questions, like, first, this is definitely a first for us. I've never seen death by coat rack before,
Yeah,
so that's a first.
good point.
But what I really want to know is how David ended up on the coat rack. I mean, first of all, there's no way that Harold would have the upper body strength to hoist a dead body up onto this coat rack and hang him there. Nor would he be tall enough to reach that high on the coat rack in the
Right.
first place. And then we don't know if David was killed first and then hoisted up, or if he was killed by his head being like smushed between
Smashed.
like the rungs or the hooks or whatever
What?
they're called. I
I don't know, but
The,
regardless,
it's hilarious.
kid's dead, hanging on the coat rack.
On a coat rack.
Susan screams and looks over, and who's in the window again, just smiling like, yeah, that's right, bitch.
It's fucking Curtis. It's straight up Curtis.
Yeah,
man.
it is Curtis,
It's
yeah.
that Curtis evil grin, smiling. He's like, and then he just turns like walks away.
Like with that sweet strut
Yeah.
that he has. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
And as he runs, Curtis goes away. We go back to the crumbled Valentines on the floor, and that's it. Now we jump ahead 20 years.
Now,
Okay, yeah, go. You got something to go here?
I'll bring it back up.
All
But
right.
Just, god damn it. That's how the movie starts. Okay, I'm like, all right. Well.
So Susan is now all grown up. She has a daughter with her ex husband Tom, who's an asshole,
Who hates oranges.
who hates oranges.
The man hates oranges.
And apparently he hates watching his own kid. But Susan's now with her new fiance, Jack. Jack takes Susan to the hospital for her test results, which, and myself, I found weird because, I don't know, again, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't know who goes to the hospital for test results because normally they're like sent to your doctor's office. You don't have to go to the hospital for those.
Unless your doctor's office is in the hospital.
I don't have any doctor's offices in the hospital.
You don't. Some people do.
Do they? Do they still have? I thought all doctors had like their off-site, whatever. All right,
Yeah, some
maybe I'm
do.
wrong.
It was the 80s.
It was the
I
80s.
just like saying that always.
It's a great excuse. It's
Yeah.
like that never. It's the excuse that never stops. It's a win trump card.
Yeah.
It's a trump card.
But there's a few. There still are a few offices in hospitals.
Okay. So I'll take your word for it. You've worked in hospitals.
Okay.
So they arrive at the hospital, Jack asks her if she'll be all right since this is the hospital where a patient ran amok last year. And now you would think this would be an important piece of information or have some bearing on the result of the movie, but nope.
Nah.
Be wrong. Never comes back. Nothing happens of it. Just a pointless, stupid thing to say. I hate it.
It's supposed to be a swerve.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
know.
like, why is that even? It's just stupid. I don't even know what the point of writing that in the script was in here. So, anyway, Susan heads in. Jack waits in the car for her because she's like, "Oh, I'll just be a few minutes." He waits, and as she walks in, the camera pans up like several stories to where a doctor dressed in like a surgical mask, like his head, just like weird, I guess, old '80s head covering. They don't wear them anymore. And he's watching her, and always sees his eyes. And he's watching her enter the building. Susan gets to the elevator as a creepy, but yet surprisingly classily dressed janitor in a bow tie watches her.
Dude, this janitor, I love this janitor. It's like if Bill Nye the Science Guy and Pee Wee Herman had a kid.
Oh my god, that's great. That's so perfect.
This would be the janitor.
I love it.
He's wearing a pretty nice brown outfit with a bow tie.
He's wearing brown pants, brown button-up shirt with a black bow tie. I'm like, I've never seen a janitor in a bow tie.
Nope.
Who does that?
That's Bill Nye Pee Wee Herman kid.
Oh man, it's amazing. So on the elevator, she meets this drunk patient. His name's Hal, and he was basically passed out eating a hamburger. And Hal comes up many times in this movie and just gets weirder and weirder and more sexual offender.
I love Hal because he's a patient. He's wearing a hospital gown.
Yes.
With a clip-on
Yes,
tie.
I was gonna call him that later,
and
but yeah,
sports jacket. Like this guy's awesome.
It's not a sports jacket. It's just a robe. It's a full-length robe.
Oh, I thought he had a sports jacket.
Yeah,
on
it looks
first.
like because the pattern on it looks like it's a full-length robe. But yeah, he wears a clip-on tie with a stylish robe. I love it. Yeah, Hal gets interesting. So we cut to the 9th floor, which is all dark, and we switch to a POV shot of someone walking through this dark rooms, breathing all heavy, opens the door to room 907, which is also dark, and inside he walks up to a framed picture of young Susan. Which is, again, just why is this picture of her hanging?
And he's like starts stroking it.
Yeah, he's like petting the picture frame, and which is just creepy. Like, why would that be hanging? Like, nobody else is gonna notice this weird picture here.
Yeah.
So we next to that very same hand reach out and pull a lever that looks like it should be like in Dr. Frankenstein's office.
Right.
Like, it's alive. Pull the trigger, and there's a lightning strike.
Yeah, it's like an electrical kill switch.
Yeah,
breaker.
something.
Yeah, like a breaker. Yeah, you pull it and it. Yeah.
So the elevator Susan's in comes to a stop, and Susan's calling out for help, whatever. We cut to Dr. Jacobs' office, where Dr. Jacobs is then called up to the 9th floor as well. So off she heads.
Dr. Jacobs to the 9th floor?
Yeah. She takes the stairs, the elevator's not working.
One thing I do like about this movie is that it was kind of accurate during the daytime scenes of the hospital, how they're constantly paging people overhead. Because all throughout the movie, it's just page. And that's how it is in the hospital. There's lots of paging going on. So I like that.
Okay.
Yay!
So, speaking, you like that part of the hospital, I have a problem with this because up on the 9th floor, it's now lit up a little bit, but it looks like a rundown shithole. Like, there's no way I think a working hospital in a big city would look like this. It's just dark, grungy, and looks abandoned.
Well, you kind of skipped the part where they talked, like when Susan came up to the 9th floor, the doors open. There's those 3 people wearing their fumigation masks going, "Yeah, you need to get out of here, sweetie."
Yeah, hey, kiddo.
Yeah.
You're about to get deloused here, see? Yeah.
So yeah, Susan went up to the 9th floor as by mistake.
But okay, even if they're fumigating, I'll give them that. It still
so
looks.
The floor is closed, and the way I looked at it is like the floor is under repairs. They're going to be doing something
But
new.
it just looks like shit
but,
everywhere, and even just fumigating, they're not going to be like piles of shit and stuff just tossed all over the place.
Exactly, but it's like, why would Dr. Jacobs, if you work in the hospital and they say come up to the 9th floor, she should know. Oh, they're fucking fumigating up there.
Yeah,
they're doing a construction up there. Why the fuck am I going to the 9th floor?
Yeah, that's a great point too. A really great point that is never addressed at all in this movie. So Jacobs enters room 913, which of course is also dark, cluttered, and looks like it's just been an abandoned room. And it's like all sorts of shit just piled up in this room. There's gurneys and like medical skeletons and just this shit upon shit in this room.
Yeah.
That it's like, what hospital would allow this to happen? And she opens up a metal locker, look inside, because I guess she hears a noise or something.
Thing, she just starts exploring, like looking for things. Like, wouldn't she be up there going, "What the fuck am I being paged up here for? There's nobody
Why am I
here."
Yeah, but yeah,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. But she snoops around.
But there's no reason for her to snoop around.
Exactly, no reason whatsoever. And she's all scared, looking the whole time.
That
like,
feeling of like suspense or like what's going on. It's like it never comes into play.
Right.
It wasn't even there because she just gets up there and is like, "Now it's time for me to snoop."
Yeah.
It's like, what? No, you'd go up there and be like, "Hello, hello.
I'm a busy doctor.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Fuck off. I'm going back to my office."
Yeah. So she she looks inside this locker, nothing there. She closes the locker, and that's when she gets grabbed from behind by a doctor in this doctor we saw earlier in the surgical garb. Dr. Jacobs is spun around, and then she's just viciously stabbed, like just bloody, vicious, brutal stabbing.
She gets fucking stabbed up.
Oh yeah, the blood covers, like the blood just splattering everywhere, covers the surgeon's face mask and lab coat. The surgeon screams and grunts with each stab. It's pretty brutal. Like I kind of like the cure because he's like, I mean, he's vicious.
He's killing the shit out of her. It's not. It's definitely like visceral.
Yeah, very
like
visceral.
There's some rage in there.
So after the murder, the surgeon flips on that lever again and setting the power back to the elevator. Susan goes about her way. Now the surgeon enters Dr. Jacobs' office and switches out Susan's X-rays. At the same time, Susan's knocking on the door. He just hides in the closet as she enters and turns around when she says, "Oh, nobody's here. I'll leave." But then she, again, fucking 80s. Gotta love him. She leaves the doctor's office, sits on the bench in the hallway, and lights up a cigarette.
Lights up a smoke.
In the hospital.
The days when you can light up a smoke in the hospital.
The wonderful 80s strike again.
God damn. It was like, I was watching that and I was like, 80s. Even early 90s shit, man.
So back on the 9th floor, the creepy janitor now enters again. Why he would know again? Now that you pointed out that people should be knowing about this film game, it's just gonna drive me nuts. This whole because I didn't even think about that. So for some reason, the janitor is now up on the 9th floor for no reason whatsoever.
He's just up there now, and he's like, "Hello."
Yeah.
He's just looking around
and
like asking for like when you go up to the 9th floor and it's foggy. It's like. Is it like written on the wall? Must start snooping.
Yeah.
There's no rationale. He just, "Hello, what's going on up here? Why?"
And of course, he enters the same room where Dr. Jacobs was killed, and he goes over to the same metal locker, opens it up, and this time he finds inside the dead body of Dr. Jacobs hanging upside down. Which I'm like, why upside down? Because that just seems like a lot of extra work to put a body in upside down and get to stay that way.
I kind of like it for some reason because that's not what I expected. I expected him to open the locker, the body falls on him, but it was like, wait, that's her feet. Whoa,
she's doing a handstand. Like, how is she propped up and they're upside down?
That's unique.
Like, is she like? Did he like tie her shoelaces together and hang her
like around the hook?
Around the hook,
like where you hook your jacket or something.
I don't know. So the janitor takes off to get help. He opens the door to leave, and boom, he's face to face with the surgeon. The janitor's like, "Hey, dude, you got help with this murder," and the surgeon's like,
"Dr. Jacobs has been killed."
Yeah, the surgeon just turns around and starts like power walking the other way. He's like, "I'm out of here," and the janitor's found him down the hall. The surgeon just turns immediately into another room. Janitor follows them in.
Wouldn't this be a tip to the janitor that? Maybe this guy's a fucking suspect.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, that would probably be my first reaction, too. I see somebody's like, "Hey, look, someone's got killed. Oh, my God, I need some help." And then if he started, like, turned away and started walking away, like, "Oh, fuck, I gotta get away. That's the murderer."
And the fact that, you're up here in a floor that's being fumigated, it's supposed to be abandoned, and you're wearing
surgical garb.
And the fact that there should be blood all over this guy. How the
Yeah.
blood disappears so
I forgot
fast
about,
blows
I
my
didn't even think
mind.
about that. Yeah, because he got fucking drenched in
Bathed
blood.
in it. But
Yeah.
now he's like pristine clean.
Ugh.
So, the janitor follows him into this room, and
The leakiest room in the world.
yeah, and it's like another storage room with like a storage room in the sink.
With like slop sinks
But
and stuff.
as soon as he
it's
enters
like
the room-
drip, drip,
Yeah.
drip. Hold on, let me see if I can still do it. I used to be able to do this when I was a kid.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah,
Wow,
it's
you should get,
constantly going.
Professional sound effect.
Yeah, what are they, gaffers? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Foley artist. That's what it is. Foley artist.
There you go. So this room can't be any bigger than like a 10 by 10 at best.
Yeah.
At best. And as soon as the janitor walks in, the surgeon's gone. He's
Gone.
like, hello.
Just
Hey,
gone.
where'd you go, man?
And he was pretty hot on his heels.
Yeah, like he was like on the guy's head. He might as well have been fucking him up the ass. He was that close to the guy. So apparently the surgeon can't turn invisible because the janitor starts spinning around, calling out for the surgeon, and the camera pans around, showing the room filled with shelves, gas, chemical bottles, all this shit. Nowhere to be seen as the surgeon. There's obviously no place to hide from what we see. But yet now the surgeon, who's wearing large, heavy-duty rubber gloves, just pops up behind the janitor, grabs him by the back of the neck, and shoves the janitor's head into the sink, which happens to be filled with acid.
With green acid.
Again, what is wrong with this hospital that they just have a sink filled with acid just sitting around?
Sure.
So the janitor's face burns off, and the next time we see it, looks like a half-dissolved Alka-Seltzer tablet or something.
That's a perfect description. It looks like someone smeared like half dissolved Alka-Seltzer just all the way down his face. It looks pretty bad.
So after this murder, the surgeon then bursts out into the hallway and he loses his shit. He starts
He
screaming.
goes crazy.
He goes bananas. He's just like pounding on the wall and screaming,
Ah,
banging his head.
just bashing against the wall. Just it looks like he really struggled. He really didn't want to kill that janitor, but he had to. I guess that's like I don't know why he's doing this.
I don't know why either.
Is he having like an emotional conflict? Is he just freaking out?
You would think so, but it's the only time he has any kind
Right.
of problem with killing.
Yeah.
Was the janitor his friend or
He
something?
really did want to kill Pee Wee Herman, Bill Nye's son.
Bill Nye Herman?
Bill Herman?
Bill Herman?
Bill Herman.
Herman Nye? I don't know.
William Herman.
William Herman? Pee Wee Nye? I don't fuck.
Pee Wee Nye. Yeah, but he just goes bonkers. Then he just stops and goes,
And he just walks away.
and then he see fucking. Then he has this like dad like walks on a mission like he's like always tense and flexing when he's walking. you know?
Yeah. So true. So we cut the top, the exhibit, at his house with his daughter. The phone rings, but he's like, I ain't fucking answering that phone.
Dude, and this is where we see the husband he's holding an orange with like a buck knife.
Yeah.
And he's
There's
just
a big ass pocket knife.
He's stabbing the shit out of this orange. He's not peeling it. He's not using it to like get ready to eat an orange. He's just slowly stabbing into the orange, twisting it. All the juice is running all over him, and he's just.
I know. I think like I just
Like,
make your
what
hand
the-
all sticky. Like,
what the fuck is going on with this guy? That's a creepy motherfucker.
Yeah. And we see Susan on the other end calling from payphone from the hospital. At this point, time passes. It's now nighttime. Jack's asleep in the car. Inside, Susan comes to what I can only describe as the most depressing hospital room ever, because she finds like these 4 old men, each hooked up to like machines, like they're breathing hard and heavily,
They're all
with the
struggling
aid
to
of-
breathe.
Yeah, and they look like they're on death's door. I mean, how like they've knocked on death's door. Death has answered the door, and all they have to do is like step inside.
Right.
And that's how depressing these guys look. It's awful.
I see people like that every day.
That's, what are you, the sixth sense? I see dead people.
I do.
They just don't know it yet.
It's true. Oh, way to bring down the tone.
Yeah.
Bring the mood down. Okay. Yeah, liven up, people. All right.
So, Susan is now approached by Dr. Beam, who tells her to look for Jacobs in the doctor's lounge.
Dude, he was on her like white on rice. This, like, she's looking in the room, and then all of a sudden he comes up and he's like, "Can I help you? Are you lost?" And dude, he's got his chest against her shoulder.
He's like puffing out.
He's like right on top of her. I'm like,
he's
damn.
peacocking. He's like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah, I mean, she's a
He reminds me he flexes the Dr. Lounge is that way.
the beach is over there, kissing his bicep.
You can't see the bicep
you know.
flex we're doing, but yeah.
Just imagine me being very muscular, because I am. No.
All right, Scott Steiner. Enough
All
of
right.
that. So in the doctor's lounge, Susan meets Harry. They chat up a bit, and he ends up telling her that he'll help her get her test results, so she doesn't have to wait around any longer. And the two of them go back to Dr. Jacobs' office. He gets her X-rays, looks at them under the light.
Now, mind you, these are the swapped X-rays.
The swapped one. And now I am no medical expert by any means, but these X-rays are fucked up. I mean, they don't even look humanly possible. I think the filmmakers just X-rayed a pile of garbage because there's
like a shoe in there.
There's like a
license
cantaloupe,
plate,
like a curled up curl of rope or something.
a couple luau lays.
These X-rays make zero sense
Like,
whatsoever.
Her intestines are everywhere. If they are. I mean, it just looks retarded. I'm looking at that. I'm like, what is that? A shoe?
Yeah.
You know, what is going on?
I know, it's the worst. I can't. It's so comical bad. So Harry tells her that she has to have a doctor look them over before she can leave, and explains to her that he's only like an intern or something like that. So now they go to Dr. Saxon's office.
You mean Dr. Sexton?
Dr. Sexton, yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
not Saxon. Sex man.
Yes,
My
yeah.
God.
Creepy doctor.
Dude, this guy he's something else. Oof.
So we first meet Saxon as he's removing the same surgical mask and head wrap that the killer was wearing,
Ooh.
places them in a desk drawer filled with surgical cutting instruments, and I just can't help but think of how unsterile that is. And plus, wouldn't they just throw those things away? I mean, they're made to be one and done. You throw them away.
Well, it depends. There are surgical tools that you know.
Not the tools. I'm talking about the mask, the face mask and the head wrap. That would be thrown out.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the expense like this cutting tools. So the doctors exchange some inaudible words. Harry leaves. Saxon takes over. He looks at the X-rays again. And now again, I notice how dark his office is, and like he's in this office working, and it's like completely dark. So I don't think anybody in this hospital likes lights. Either that, or the hospital's like really desperate to lower their energy bill.
Dude, the whole movie, it's so dark.
It is. It's incredibly
It's like
dark.
all they rely on is natural light.
Yeah.
You know, and then like maybe one or two light switches for the whole hospital. It's so retarded because hospitals are fucking bright.
Yeah.
Like blindingly
Exactly,
annoying
and this is
bright.
just so it's bullshit. I really hate that shit. Like, come on, I know you're trying to add. I'll get to it later. Fuck it. So Saxon then excuses himself. Susan just like, you know what? I'm gonna use his phone. And it's like, all right. He picks up his phone. She calls Tom again. This time the daughter picks up and tells Susan, "Oh yeah, Daddy just left me here to go out on his own,"
Which never comes back.
Never does.
Then you think, okay,
Never does.
all right, so Dad left. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go to the hospital? Is he gonna do this? What's gonna
Again,
happen?
they're trying to make all these different people look like it could be the killer.
But they did a piss poor job.
Really piss poor job, because okay, you're supposed to be like, oh, the husband we just saw with the knife is now left, and Darlin, oh, he could be at the hospital.
But we've already seen the doctor kill people.
Yeah,
you know, like, or the murderer kill people
while he was there cutting
right.
oranges.
So I'm
yeah,
like, no, that's not him.
it's just like, hey, let's just make this guy even more of an asshole and bad father. Let's just have him abandon his daughter. So the door opens and in comes two nurses, Dora and Kitty. Now, one of them looks freakishly tall, and it almost looks like a man in drag. It's
Yeah,
she's
she's got some pretty harsh masculine features on her face too. But yeah, it's like her, like the doctor is henchwomen.
Yeah, they're his henchmen.
Yeah, like they're just like sexy henchmen. Yeah,
they're the muscle.
Doctor.
So the nurses
Hold her down. Let's get her.
Now we're seeing a porn. Like, this is porn-esque.
There's elements of
There
that.
are,
Like
they come up. Yeah, there's
definitely
real
some like
porn
soft
elements.
core elements going on.
Yeah, that comes up later. So the nurses ask Susan to come with them, and they take her to see Saxon, who is in an exam room, which, again, is weird. Like, why didn't Saxon say, hey, we have to go to the exam room and follow me? Like, I don't know.
No, she's got to be led by his fucking minions.
His minions.
You know, and when they walk her in, and they're on each side of her like security.
It's like they're walking her to death row.
Yeah, like we're not letting this bitch get away.
No.
You know? And
So
he's like, okay, you know, Bunny and Trixie, you can go now.
Dora, and Kitty.
What? Close.
No, that's Dora. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he tells like, hey, we have to run more tests because the results are inconclusive. Color me shocked that the doctor couldn't make out anything from those garbage X-rays.
Right.
I mean, what are you even looking at? So Susan gets up. They say this whole thing is just a simple formality that she just needs a medical certificate for her new insurance due to a recent promotion. So that's the whole reason behind these tests in the first place. The nurse leaves, and Saxon has Susan stripped down for her exam. She changed this changing curve, which is backlit, and so we see
sexy
her
silhouette show.
sexy shadow, and creepy Saxon just watches her undress. And then in comes Dr. Beam. They talk about the missing Dr. Jacobs a while. Saxon shows him the X-rays. Beam leaves as Susan gets on the exam table, and as soon as she sits on the table, Saxon just takes her gown right off.
Takes her gown off.
Leave her completely naked except for her underwear.
It's like, why even bother?
Yeah.
He's like, give me that. He's just such a creep. I mean,
so creepy.
He's looking in her eyes the whole time, like so intensely.
Yeah.
And there's no music at this point.
No,
either.
there's no music.
It's just dead air. Like him being rapey, creepy. You know, this is for medical purposes.
Yeah, and like one of the creepiest things about it is like, okay, he takes the gown off, which is still weird. I think they're saying, okay, please remove your gown. So they had the paper, but then he starts like playing with her hair. Like he takes her hair,
Yeah.
and like parts it and then places it in like over her shoulders in front, so it's not like what? Why are you playing with her hair?
I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
This is medically important.
So now we've already talked about how creepy this is, but it's oddly sexual too. And first of all, I've never had to be naked to get my blood pressure taken by the blood pressure cuff. I've never been naked for that.
Yeah, what he's doing is just we're talking basic head to toe, assessment.
It's like what nurses and my doctor's like, the doctor says like, let me get your heartbeat, your vitals real quick. And he's doing that with only she has to be naked for some reason for this.
He's listening to her lung fields on the back, and he's listening with his stethoscope. He's like, breathe in. And the whole time he's looking right in her eyes, and she's like,
breathe out.
And they're just, and again, no music. And they're just, they're like, faces are so close to each other. They're looking in each other's eyes. I'm just like, kiss! Fuck!
Yeah,
do something!
It's really awkward and weird.
All of a sudden, this is becoming a porn.
Yeah, it's one step away from porn. However, I will say I'm kind of glad she's naked because Barbi Benton has a great body and some really nice tits. Great tits.
Yes.
Barbi Benton's got some beautiful bosoms.
Bosoms.
So Saxon then has her lay down and then begins to just feel up her leg, which what he's searching for, I have no clue. He's just like, I need an excuse to fill your legs up.
I don't know what he's looking for either.
So, as if things weren't creepy enough at this point, we see Hal, the drunk patient from the elevator. He's like leering through the window watching this.
Peeping Tom.
While he's drinking like a fifth of lick booze or something.
Yeah, he's like a thing of like a pint of nitrate.
Yeah.
What kind of hospital is this?
I know, this hospital is like so bad. So Hal, he gets caught by a nurse. He's like, oh, okay.
How do I get a job there?
Yeah.
That's where I want to work. This place is nuts. Except for all the killing, that's the one thing I might want to avoid. But other than that, I want to work there.
So Hal, if he gets busted, he starts walking back to like his ward, where that means, and then he comes across this other pretty woman in like a pink robe. And he just like immediately starts like sexually harassing her.
Yeah. He bumps into her and starts like grabbing at her and stuff, and he's like chasing her. She's trying to walk away. He's like, all right.
And then he gets sidetracked again because he takes him back past the door. He's like, oh, he starts spying on Barbi Benton again.
Back to Peeping Tom again.
Yeah. So this exam goes on for a while. Like it's extended.
It's a long scene.
Yeah,
and it's just, like sexual tension. You can cut it with a scalpel.
So afterwards, Susan is taken to her room, the bed in her room, which she shares with these three old, super crazy, creepy women.
Dude, the crazy Catholic, the crazy gypsy, and the crazy wasp.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I got. I was like, okay, we got a wasp, we got a gypsy, and we got a Catholic.
Yeah, that's a great,
They walk into a bar.
Gypsy.
It's like, I feel like this is a setup for a joke.
So Now we go to cut to the killer surgeon pushing some sort of bin on a cart down a dark hallway because this hospital has no lights, and it's got 4 bloody arms just sticking out of it. Like, he didn't even try to cover it with a sheet or hide it. He's like, I'm just pushing a cart down the middle of a hospital hallway.
Whose arms are they? Are they Bill Nye and Pee Wee Herman's
and
kid?
Jacob's? Yeah,
We don't know.
Yeah, just arms.
When he's pushing down, the music's like, oh, 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 like that creepy operatic kind of music. I'm like, huh?
I was going to comment on it later because it comes up it gets really intense later in the movie. But the music a lot of times is like this whispered Latin chanting going on. It's like, it's really weird, and it is kind of creepy, but yeah, it's just odd. So, back at Tom's house, Tom is home. He's back home now. He places a blanket over his...
more oranges.
He places a blanket over his sleeping daughter, and then he grabs a knife off the coffee table, and he leaves again. It's like, oh, honey, I'm home, but just because I forgot my knife, I gotta leave again.
I gotta go fuck up some watermelons, some cantaloupes. I mean,
you got some produce to cut up.
Some fruit that's been fucking giving me the fucking business. I'm gonna go take care of it.
Give me the business. So we get back to the room in the house where that's filled with like these just animal cages filled with guinea pigs, and then various glass beakers with like various colored liquids in them. Yeah, it's like the weirdest room, and then
a Bunsen burner,
and then there's just this woman sitting at a typewriter typing away. I was like, what is this room for?
What kind of room is this?
Like animal testing, chemical mixing, and like data entry or something. Like, what is going on?
We just don't have a lot of room for this stuff, so we're just gonna make this a big utility room.
So she's typing up these like medical reports, and the closet door next to her opens up a crack, and we see a rubber gloved hand like kind of creep out.
Killer's hand.
Yeah, killer's hand. But in comes Nurse Nancy and asks this woman Susie, which is bullshit. You have Susie and a Susan in a movie, get a more creative name there. She's like, hey, come get coffee with me. She's like, no, I can't. I gotta finish Jeremy's report. So Nancy leaves. Susie goes back to typing.
She's pretty good at typing.
She's fat, but she's also just be going. You don't see what she's typing. She just be clacking away on buttons.
The clacking sound to me was impressive.
It could also have been added in post.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Still impressive.
All right. Whoever was doing the typing, impressive.
Impressed. Color me.
So Susie takes a break to hang up her sweater in the closet, which is now empty. And she goes over to this large cabinet, takes out several blood samples, like vials of blood, which, again, hold on. Why in the hell would there be blood in this closet?
This is not a lab.
Yeah, it's not a lab in any way, shape, or form. And I also don't blood samples have to be stored in a cooler?
No,
I mean,
not
don't
necessarily.
I always thought they were in a cooler. Every time I donated blood, they're always like, oh, you put them in a cooler and everything's in a cooler.
Well, that's if you're donating blood. Now, if they're just blood samples, you just have to, you put them in the test tube, roll them back and forth so it mixes with whatever chemical you're testing it with, and then you just, I guess,
all right, I will stand corrected
to the lab.
I will stand corrected on that. But yeah, she just I still think it's fucking up. There's blood samples in this closet in the first place.
Yeah,
though.
That's weird.
So I don't get it. It's just so she closes the cabin door, and behind the door there's the killer surgeon. Her back starts, so she doesn't see him until it's too late. The surgeon comes up from behind her, grabs her, throws her into the closet, and then just brutally just stabs the shit out of her.
Brutally stabbing. I mean, she's screaming. There's blood everywhere.
Oh, it's vicious blood.
And he turns around, and he's spotless.
Yeah. This time he's spotless.
Oh, and this is another thing I forgot to mention this. I wanted to make a point of this.
Oh, go ahead.
So, we've seen him stab 2 women now, brutally.
Yes.
With his right hand. Come down stabbing, right hand stabbing. Rah, 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 rah. When he switched out the x-rays for Susan Jeremy, he wrote Susan Jeremy on there with his left hand.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
I didn't notice that.
I did, and I was like, look at that.
Maybe just ambidextrous.
Maybe he is. Yeah, talented, this one. Ambidextrous killer.
Well, I mean, we had a friend. I remember we had an old friend of ours growing up who he was right-handed, but I played soccer with Scott, but he was left-footed. So maybe like he writes left-handed, but his killing arm.
I got my killing arm.
His killing arm is right-handed.
Left hand's for finesse, right hand's for power.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she's dead. After the death, the surgeon swaps out Susan's report with a fake one, then rushes out of the room. And then like immediately in comes Harry. Immediately takes the report, and I have a comment on this later. Just try to remind me to bring that one up. He leaves. Harry takes the report to Dr. Saxon and Dr. Beam. They all look it over. They talk about how nothing's making sense and that the symptoms are all wrong. Meanwhile, Nurse Nancy comes back to bring Susie coffee, and Susie's bloody body falls out of the closet into Nancy, who screams, runs for help. But of course, she runs right into the surgeon. The surgeon attacks her.
Going, help, help, Susie's been killed.
And yet nobody in the hospital seems to notice or care, or the fact that it's just an empty hospital.
This is awesome, though. She starts freaking out. She's like, come with me. He grabs his stethoscope, puts it around
Is
her
that
neck.
what he strangled? I was trying to figure out what he strangled her with.
He smashes against the wall, and he's like kind of smushing her against the wall pretty good, strangling her. She falls down. He scoops her up, throws her in a wheelchair. Then
love this.
Get out of here, bitch.
I think you. Okay, he doesn't actually say "get out of here, bitch," but I love it. I laughed at you. He puts her in a wheelchair and just pushes her down the hall, and then just in a random room, just shoves her, and just keeps on walking.
Shoves her violently, just shoves it in there and just keeps strutting away.
I know.
I swear to God, he's just like, get out of here, bitch.
I mean, that's like you can tell. Obviously, like that's like his
nonverbal
train of thought.
Oh,
yeah, it's not said. But
so
I more about it. I was like, that's hilarious. That's like the funniest part of the movie. It's
that's
like,
the
boom.
best. I love it so much.
So Saxon now he goes to see Susan with nurses Dora and Kitty and tells Susan that she has to stay for a couple of days for observation. After he leaves,
more sexy observation.
Yeah, more sex. So Saxon leaves, and the three old creepy women start talking to Susan, and they get even creepier and weirder than you would even think possible. Because they say things
she
like,
looks so young and healthy. How is she sick? Yeah.
She's like young and pretty on the outside, but old and rotten on the inside. And then another one says, I wonder what they will say standing over her corpse as her bones decay and organs rot, and her blood is as malignant as slime.
Yes.
What the fuck? God damn, these bitches are dark. Like, why would you even say that?
What kind of old women are these?
Yes.
It's like the reason it's like the Catholic one is she's holding a rosary. The Gypsy one looks like he's straight out of like Romania.
She's just like the whole time she's clanking spoons together.
She's clanking these spoons, and then the other one is just some old lady who looks. I'm just like I just call her the Wasp.
Yeah,
because she just looks like a Protestant. You know.
Yeah.
They're all just these angry, bitter old white ladies who are like.
Oh yeah. The third
shade.
one that's a man in drag. That is definitely a dude in a wig.
I didn't notice.
It is.
That's crazy.
It's a man in a wig, but
Weird.
still, it's like why? Yeah, like I can't.
I thought it was B. Arthur.
Oh God, if there would have been B. Arthur, that would have been
Zing.
Oh, they should have all the Golden Girls. All the Golden Girls have been the crazy women. Just Stella, Blanche, Betty White, whoever she was.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Rose.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious. So anyway, having enough of these three crazy ladies, Susan tells him like to shut up. She leaves the room, only to bump into Harry in the hallway. They talk about all the weird stuff that's been going on with her today, and he tells her that, hey, you know what, I'm going to help you out here. And he takes her to Dr. Jacobs' office again to look through the files.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, girl, I got your back. We're going to get you out of here.
We're going to get this figured out. So he finds her file and tells her not to worry, that he'll have her out of here in no time because someone's just trying to play a prank job on her. You're getting fucked with.
It's a con job. You'll be out of here in no time, kiddo.
So Harry sends her back to her room, goes to talk to Saxon. Saxon is not in his office, but the phone rings, so he answers it anyway, and he's caught up to some other floor, like, I don't know, probably the 9th floor again. Who knows? So outside, Jack finally wakes up, and he goes inside to check on Susan. He gets,
Yeah, it's been hours.
Several
hours.
It was daytime when he dropped her off. Is now nighttime.
Yeah, and he's just like, that's it. I'm not standing there for this anymore. It's like, dude, talk about the patience.
Yeah, he gets directions to the 8th floor. And supposedly it's supposed to has only been 2 hours, but it's been a lot longer than 2 hours.
Still 2 hours.
I'm
gonna be sitting in the car for 2 hours just holding my dick. I mean, goddamn.
So
after about 15 minutes, I'll be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah,
that's it. I got shit to do. Let's move. Come on, people.
So Jack runs into a doctor, And one of the nurses we saw before, I don't know which one it was, and not the Amazon one, but the other one. And he asked for Susan, and he's told that she's under observation. Now, I have an audio clip for this because I thought it was absolutely hilarious the way Jack responds to this, but I don't know if anybody else is going to appreciate it as much as I am, so I'm not sure if I can play it or not.
I'll play it.
You want me to play it?
Play
All
it.
right, I'll play it.
Miss Susan Jeremy, I've been waiting for 2 hours.
Well, I don't know whether she can receive visitors or not.
What? How come?
Well, Kitty, he wants to see Miss Jeremy.
Are you a relative?
What the hell do you mean?
Better check with Dr. Saxon.
What's going on here?
Well, you see, she's under observation.
Observation. And what does that mean?
It means she's under observation.
Well, it explains everything. Where?
Yeah, so I can see how people might not understand this, but I love the way that when they tell him twice that she's under observation, he's like, oh, that explains everything. Like, it's not like sarcastic enough in the way he delivers
Right.
it. It actually sounds like, oh, I get it now.
I get it.
Now I understand it. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I think it was supposed to be like, oh, that explains everything more, but it's just like, oh, I totally get it now. Thank you.
Yeah, there's like no sarcasm.
None.
Yeah.
So that's why I find it so hilariously funny to me. I don't know if anybody else would appreciate that, but I got a kick out of it, and it's my show, damn it.
It's my show.
I'll
I can
play
do
shitty
what
clips if I want to. So anyway, Jack enters Susan's room. She explains to him what's been going on. And he's like, I feel fine. I just want to go home. So he's like, all right, let's just go home then. She's like,
As she could.
Yeah.
As she has the right to do. Dude, in this movie, I don't know if it was because she's a woman, if it was the 80s, or just what was going on, but, like, none of this it never should have escalated to this. Like, there's no way. There's
Yeah.
no way this would have happened.
I don't think they had any medical, what do they call it, consultations or anything on set.
Mhm.
Experts like, hey, let's get this accurate.
Right.
Like, no, we're just gonna make up whatever we want.
You're a doctor. You can do what you want.
Yeah, Doctor coup de grace or shit, not coup de grace.
I'm a
Court
doctor.
blanche. Is that what it is? Court blanche?
Yeah.
Carte
Yeah.
blanche. Whatever.
I'm a doctor, and I have a solution for a woman's mouth. Do what I say.
I would just say my dick.
Whoa!
Anyway, the views expressed written by her not necessarily represent the views. Anyway, so the two of them make it to the elevator, but as soon as the elevator doors open, off comes Saxon and his muscle
Dude,
bitches,
it's
his
two,
minions.
like, nurses who don't do anything but just follow him around and, like, look sassy.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's their job.
And
I don't see him taking care of anyone.
no, he orders the nurses to take Susan back to her room. Susan tries to struggle, but the Amazon just too much, and she gets nowhere. And Jack just stands there this whole time like a bitch.
Yeah.
He does absolutely
What are you doing?
nothing.
And she's like, help, help.
Yeah,
And he's
not
like,
even
"Ugh."
after she's screaming for help, and watches this woman get manhandled. He's like, does he finally like do something? He's like, what's going on, Doc? Like,
Yeah, and he's like, I'm taking over here. Like, the Dr. Saxon
Yeah.
is being like a fucking douche.
and even when Jack does try to step up and get involved or man up, even that is so bitch-esque. It's pathetic. He's such a bitch in this movie. So Saxon tells Jack to sit on the bench and wait, and he's like, okay. And he
yeah,
does.
yeah.
I'm like, whatever you say.
Go sit down.
Now, I haven't comment on this yet, so I'm going to now because this is where I specifically noticed it. Susan's hospital gown and robe must be from the Victoria's Secret hospital collection. Because
Right?
her robe and gown is more like a mini skirt or like a mini dress. I have never seen gowns or robes this short in a hospital. And it's even more noticeable that because she's the only one wearing something this short. Everybody else has got like full length gowns on, but her is like, nope, we're sexing her up.
Hello, patient.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the patients are wearing full on like pajamas.
Right, like
Pants,
robes,
tops, robes, like
neckties.
Yeah, clip-on ties. And she's like in the skimpiest little outfit they have.
It's like made of paper.
Yeah.
It's so thin.
Now a voice comes over the PA telling Jack to pick up the hallway phone. And the voice on the other end tells Jack something, I don't know what, and it makes him wander off in search of Dr. Saxon. I think, but I don't really have a clue what's going on. I don't really care either. It doesn't make sense. So Jack heads off into the nearly pitch black stairwell because, again, all hospitals that hate bright lights.
No fucking lights anywhere.
And this house has zero regard for safety whatsoever. Into the hall, he bumps into Hal, who is still drunk. And Hal watches, stares at Jack as he ascends the staircase. And he comes out on the 9th floor, which is now filled with fog for some reason. I wrote, but
fumigation
I guess it's more
again,
fumigation.
maybe.
But yeah, it's so foggy now. He crosses paths with the 3 old crazies who, why are they up here now?
No idea.
They're just wandering around looking for Dr. Jacobs.
It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, and by the way, they're wearing fur coats. Because why the fuck not?
Well, because minks are made for fur coats. That's why they're here. Maybe there's a PSA about how we need mink in life.
There's these women in this scene, like, they at this point remind me of like the creepy, scary twins from The Shining. Like, they're just walking around hallways, like, and so, will you play with me? Like, Dr. Jacobs?
Yeah.
Are you Dr. Jacobs? Dr. Jacobs? Like, and it's so weird. Like, nobody's keeping tabs on these women. These women should be, like, in the psych ward under constant, like, observation.
And why are they sick? Yeah, they look like they're
just
walking
old.
around talking. They're just old.
If they're senile or have delusion or like dementia, thank you.
You sure you don't suffer from that yourself, too?
They should be under surveillance and care, not just left on their own devices. So Jack continues on the way, and he comes to room 911. So, oof, that's a bad omen. He goes inside, and never forget. And
You know what? I said the same thing when I saw that, too. I mean, this movie was made in 81, but I still was like, 9/11.
never forget. I know.
It was an inside job.
So the room is completely dark. I mean, pitch black. And then Jack hears a man's voice whispering somewhere in the room to him. He's like, come here. Come closer. And this fucking mook does it. I'm sorry, but goddamn, how much more ominous does a situation need to be for you not to go check it out?
Right?
Jesus.
Yeah, he's like, let me go and snoop around in here.
This is just screaming, bad things are about to happen to you, jabroni. It's just, oh!
Pitch black room. Come here. Yeah. Come inside.
And then a light comes on in the corner behind a changing screen, again, backlighted, and the whispering voice continues to bait him closer. And then a silhouette of a man in a wheelchair, it rolls into view behind the screen. And it's important to know here that it is a complete side profile that we see from the backlit.
Yeah, and it looks limp and dead.
Limp.
Right off the bat. I mean, you hear this creepy whisper.
Oh,
in comes the wheelchair of a limp dead
and now he does
silhouette. Yeah, I'm gonna go walk towards that.
Not only is the voice creepy, what he starts saying is even creepier because he's like getting all. He's like, how does Susan feel to the touch? Like, what's she act like during sex? Like, do you get to touch her in all of her secret places?
Over secret places.
And he's like, well, I guess better keep going.
He's like, yeah, I do. Dude, totally.
So he steps around
fucker.
the screen and finds the man in the wheelchair is dead, covered in blood, and has like this giant knife sticking out of his chest. Now, this is what I remember the side profile, because the bullshit problem I have this is that when we see the body backlit, there's no knife sticking out of the guy's chest, which you would clearly see the shadow of that, given that
I
angle.
didn't even think about that, but you're right.
And then when he comes around the corner, it's like a fucking sword sticking out of the guy.
Yeah, it's a massive knife.
You would have seen that in the silhouette. So anyway, the surgeon then sneaks up behind Jack with a powered bone saw. Jack falls back onto the body as the surgeon goes in for the kill.
And then just wiggles around going, no, just...
The camera cuts away to, like, we go back to the other side of the screen, and we just see Jack's death in silhouette. Again, I have problems with this too. First one, how long does that power cord gotta be for him to get, unless he's like some like super massive industrial like extension cord, I don't think that bone saw makes it that far across the room.
The same thing. I was like, if you just take a few steps away, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah. And
it's gonna run out of juice.
Yeah. And second, how the hell did the surgeon get behind Jack so goddamn fast? Because when we see, he had to have been the one that pushed the wheelchair.
Right.
And the wheelchair comes on from the left side of the screen. Mm-hmm. And then the surgeon pops up from the right side of the screen, like instantaneously. So apparently this guy has the powers of invisibility and teleportation. Back in Susan's room, Susan's sleeping in her bed. The surgeon enters the room carrying a large red box with ribbon on it, places it on her nightstand, and leaves. The moment he leaves, she wakes up,
Sure.
sees the box, she opens it up, and to absolutely no one's surprise, inside is Jack's severed head.
Knew that one. Saw that one coming a mile away.
She screams, flips out, and apparently Jack's severed head needed to breathe because you can clearly see two air holes punched into the red box he was dropped off in.
That's funny.
Now I'm guessing it probably could have been for, like, the actor inside for that whole head under the table thing,
yeah.
but the way they shot it, like the close up, you clearly show like there's two air holes front and center, like staring you right in the eye when they
That's
show the
funny.
box. Yeah. It just looks so silly. So she takes off running and screaming down the halls, and the first room she runs into is sheer bonkers. It's so ridiculous. I don't think I can do this justice, but there's 3 men in full body and face casts with various
Traction.
arms and legs up in slings.
In traction,
Traction.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. And they look like crippled mummies.
Yes!
And they're moaning and swaying from side to
Like,
side.
as soon as she runs into view, she's like, ah!
And there's like,
so ridiculous. It looks so
what
dumb.
is happening?
One, why are these guys doing that? When they just want to stay still and be like, hey, lady,
Yeah, like, what's up?
what's going on? I'm in traction. I can't move that much.
Hey, do you think you could scratch this for me
Yeah,
if it kills me? But God, no, they're all like, wiggle, 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 wiggle.
It's so dumb. And if I'm not mistaken, aren't the lights like flickering or
Yeah,
something?
it's like it's the weirdest, stupidest yet insanely
Humorous.
humorous
It was really
thing.
funny.
It's so
Of course, she looks up,
and turns and runs away. So now she runs into the doctor's lounge looking for help. But just like the rest of this hospital, it's completely dark and empty. She barricades the door with a chair and hides in the corner. Someone starts rattling the door handle, causing Susan to scream some more. Doors forced open. In comes Saxon and his goon squad. Susan frantically tells them about Jack, but of course they don't believe her. So they're like, hey, show us. They go back to Susan's room, and the head in the box has been replaced with a Valentine's Day cake in the same red box. So Saxon and the nurses force her.
Bitch, you're crazy.
Yeah, they force her back into the bed. Susan accuses Saxon of foul play, saying that Harry told her there's nothing wrong with her and that her files have been switched, that someone's trying to con her. So Saxon asks, what did Harry do with the charge? She tells him she doesn't know, only that he took them upstairs.
That's a breach of confidentiality. He's like all upset about like a small violation when he's basically restraining this woman against her will.
Yeah.
So he's essentially, kidnapping her.
And then Saxon tells her, listen, I'll check the photocopies of the records that are stored in the basement in the morning. But she's like, just do it now. Why can't you do it now? So the nurses then get her takes a pill, but Susan fake swallows it and pretends to go to sleep.
Called cheeking.
Thank you.
I had to check patients' mouths all the time for psych patients who didn't trust me giving them meds and, take your meds. Okay, let me open your mouth. Lift up your tongue. I had to check to see if they were cheeking meds. Do it all the time.
So once the nurse leaves, Susan gets up, she sneaks out. She heads down the hall to the elevators, but while she's waiting for the elevators to arrive, she hears heavy breathing and someone approaching.
Dude.
So she hides behind another changing screen, which just so happens to be conveniently placed in the hallway.
And it's so stupid.
It is so stupid.
Because you can see your fucking legs.
Yeah.
You're hiding behind a screen,
And you can
and
clearly
your
see
legs are right there. It doesn't make any sense.
Nope. And while she's hiding, she
Ah.
decides to start fidgeting with her lighter, which she, of course, drops when she peeks out to see the surgeon standing there. Hearing the lighter drop, the surgeon's like, huh? And it starts going her way.
Walking the slowest walk, and he's breathing. I'm not exaggerating this. Like, every step he's taking,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
breathing that hard, and there's music going as
Yeah.
he's walking. It's slowest steps. She's fuck. What is happening?
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
It's trying to build this tension, and she sees the lighter on the ground. He's walking ever so slowly past the changing screen.
Yeah.
And his foot's coming close to the lighter, and I guess she starts trying to get the lighter with her foot.
Yeah, that's what she's
to
doing.
pull it towards it so he doesn't step on it. But she's constantly like put her foot just barely on it, so it's like flopping around on the ground.
Yeah, it would make more
It
noise.
would make so much noise.
You just-
But in case you can't hear it over his insane breathing
Yeah.
and, the fucking, Night on Bald
I
Mountain
mean, the guy's
opera
like,
music
yeah,
that's happening.
the guy's like one step away from Darth Vader at this point. Breathing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Thank God for this pop filter because I got spit all over it, breathing like that.
Oh, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So even though he clearly hears the lighter drop, but he, for some unknown, mind-boggling reason, decides not to check behind the oddly placed changing screen.
Yeah, doesn't look down, never sees those gams.
Doesn't even know. And just the elevator arrives, opens with a bang, and he's like, oh, okay. He gets on, doors closed, he's gone. Susan rushes out down the stairwell, and just like the other stairwell, completely dark. And again, she gets grabbed by Hal, who apparently just loves hanging out in dark hallways.
Just getting hammered and hanging out in dark hallways.
So now Hal gets real close and personal and pretty pervy with Susan. He starts feeling her up and tries to kiss her. She fights him off, runs down the stairs. We next see her entering the archives, where she spies on Saxon going through files, and still, no one in this hospital uses lights. You would think that Saxon would turn the lights on in here to make it easier to look through these files and to be able to read them, but nope, he's doing this all in the dark, yet can somehow read the files. And then he hears a noise, which is Susan. He looks up and shines his flash. He has a fucking flashlight!
Shines it right on her, and then she kind of ducks, and he's like, I didn't see anything.
I just don't understand, why did he turn the lights on in the first place? Why would a doctor be carrying around a flashlight with him in a hospital? I know this is a horror movie and it's supposed to be dark, it's supposed to be, and that's supposed to add like fear and tension, but fucking A, use it in the right places, a working hospital emergency would not be this dark or goddamn fucking empty for that matter. There's like nobody here. This entire hospital seems to be running on
huge,
it's massive
hospital.
It's like running on a skeleton crew of like 10 people for a hospital that should be having hundreds of people in it. Where are all the patients that night? It's like dead.
Worst hospital ever.
Yeah. Oh, so anyway, Saxon is like slowly like spinning around the room, circling, shining the flashlight around, and he's about to come full circle where there standing in front of him is the surgeon.
Right in front of him.
Right in front of him. Wait, how does he not hear him approach?
Right, he's right on top of him.
Seriously.
Like arm's length.
Less than arm's length.
How?
Yeah. And he's holding like this metal hatchet, like
Oh,
all metal.
You mean his medical axe?
Yeah, I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Like, I guess you use that for maybe amputation, but
No,
you have a
you
bone
wouldn't.
saw, like maybe in the Civil War days.
Right. I have my
like
trusty
this-
medical axe.
Fully stainless steel, like hatchet. And so Saxon turns around and just gets the axe embedded in the back of his skull. Susan watches him get killed and runs out screaming. She gets grabbed by another random doctor and nurses, and they force her onto a gurney, strap her down with leather cuffs and straps. Whole time she's screaming and frantically trying to warn them about the killer, but of course none of them care. They just think she's crazy.
This is for your own good.
The three crazy ladies are back in their beds now, and they're encouraging the staff to like strap her down. So like, get that bitch!
That'll
Like, strap
shut her up.
Shut her up! And hearing the screaming, in comes Dr. Beam. The nurses tell him that Susan is having another seizure, which
She
Susan
goes-
is like, no, I'm not!
Because I'm not having a seizure. What kind of school did you go to?
Yeah, I
you
know.
fucking moron.
And so the other nurse says she's having a hallucinatory fit, just like last time. It looks like a typical attack of delirium tremens, which for the first time in a while brings us to this week's horrible horror educational moment. Well, delirium tremens is a real thing. It's also one of my all-time favorite beers. I love it.
It's a good one.
And after reading about this and learning about it, it makes perfect sense why it's called that now. So, delirium tremens, also known as DT, is a rapid onset of confusion usually caused by withdrawal from alcohol. When it occurs, it is often 3 days into the withdrawal symptoms and lasts for 2 to 3 days. People may also see or hear things other people do not. Physical effects may include shaking, shivering, irregular heart rate, and sweating. Occasionally, a very high body temperature or seizures may result in death. Alcohol is one of the most dangerous drugs to withdraw from. Delirium tremens typically only occurs in people with a high intake of alcohol for more than a month. A similar syndrome may occur with Oh, I'm just gonna test my medical pronunciation. Benzodiazepine
Perfect.
and barbiturate withdrawal.
You nailed it.
Signs and symptoms. Many symptoms of delirium tremens are nightmares, agitation,
Agitation.
I mistyped it. Yeah, agitation.
You nailed benzodiazepine.
But I missed agitation. God damn it! That ruined my smartness for the day.
There goes my smartness.
for the day. Global confusion, disorientation, visual and auditory hallucinations, tactile hallucinations, fever, high blood pressure, heavy sweating, and other signs of autonomic hyperactivity, fast heart rate, and high blood pressure. These symptoms may appear suddenly, but typically develop in 2-3 days after the stopping of heavy drinking, being worse in the 4th or 5th day. Also, these symptoms are characteristically worse at night. Treatment. Delirium tremens due to alcohol withdrawal can be treated with benzodiazepines. High doses may be necessary to prevent death. Amounts given are based on the symptoms. Typically, the person is kept sedated with benzodiazepines such as diazepam, lorazepam,
Ativan.
chlorodiazoxide,
Xanax.
and oxazepam. I don't fuck it. Who knows? In some cases, antipsychotics such as haloperidol may be used. Nicknames. I love this. These nicknames are great. Nicknames for delirium tremens include the horrors, the shakes, the bottle ache, quart mania, orcs, gallon distemper,
Orcs.
orks, orcs, the zoots, barrel fever, the 750 itch, and pint paralysis, and seeing pink elephants.
I've heard of the shakes. I know, dude. Sometimes I get the shakes after like going on a bender, and like the next day, you're like, oh, you just feel like horrible.
So,
but yeah, working in a hospital, dude, I work with a lot of patients with DTs. So yeah,
I just say after reading that, and like, but I get Waters because she has been screaming, shaking, sweating in the movie. So it kind of makes sense, but still, it's like you're pretty shady doctors because
yeah.
She's not like she's coming in drunk or has any history of alcoholism at all.
Right.
So, moving back to the movie, I guess the doctor's getting shitty here because Dr. Beam tries to examine Susan, but she bites him in the hand and then tells the other staff to keep her under observation. If she continues, they're going to have to operate. Operate? Are you fucking kidding me? God damn, these are the worst doctors ever.
They just said she's got DTs. All you gotta do is just give her some Ativan. You gotta give her lots of benzos, and you gotta monitor her blood pressure and temperature. That's it. Give her some fluids.
What would they possibly operate on?
Take out her brain.
What would they remove? Jesus, at this point, I'm surprised the doctors. I want to just give her a straight lobotomy and call it a day.
Dude, I want to work at this hospital.
Oh. You would think their malpractice lawsuits are insane.
Right.
Their lawyers gotta love them though. Like, woo, constant business. So, Beam tells her to try to sleep. They all leave, leaving Susan there screaming. And one by one, the crazy ladies just start turning the bed lights off. Like, fuck you, bitch. And there's like one by one lights click off and off, leaving Susan alone in the dark. We cut to the surgeon walking down some hallway with a white bed sheet raised up high and stretched out.
This seems
so ridiculous.
Retarded. It's so weird.
It's so weird. It's like if this guy is trying to stay under the radar or inconspicuous, this is certainly not going to help. It's like, woo.
He's walking down the hall with his hand stretched out, carrying a white sheet in front of him.
Yeah, it's like from wall to wall. It's like... It's like, I don't know if people, I think it was a Mission Impossible movie, but they do like put up like a screen that they projected an image on to make it look like the hallway was continuing all the way, but they kept moving it closer and closer. It kind of looks like he's trying to do that, but there's no image projected on this white sheet. It's just a white sheet. So, some random female dressed in surgical scrubs, who knows, she comes out from some room, she sees this guy, she's like, what the fuck? And then the surgeon starts picking up pace, like starts closing the gap on her real quick, and she's like screaming, and then like so lazily tries to lightly jog away.
If you're terrified, you fucking book it, lady.
I mean, come on. First of all, you could easily get away from this guy who he can't really see where he's going because there's a sheet in front of his face that he's holding up. And who runs fast with their arms outstretched in front of them over their head?
Like, I'm just waiting for him to trip over the blanket.
Yeah.
You know?
So the surgeon chases her down a very long hallway Well, again, and just looking, it just looks so retarded because he's running.
So silly looking.
He's running after with the sheet still raised up.
It looks so silly. It looks so stupid.
She's screaming, and again, I can't help but notice that not a single person pokes their head out of any of these rooms to see who's screaming or what's going on. The surgeon catches her, wraps her up in the sheet, and then sticks her with a syringe filled with some kind of dark liquid.
Who knows?
This all happens while it sounds like the weird Latin chanting's going on. And the surgeon just walks away, leaving her to stumble around in the hallway like a drunk child pretending to be a
With the
ghost.
sheet over her head.
It's like the child playing a ghost. She just bounced off the wall, and then she finally falls down dead, and he just leaves her body in the hallway. Like,
God damn it.
so, oh god. Anyway, so now we cut to Dr. Beam, who's washing his hands in a sink. And he then puts on the same rubber gloves that we see the killer wear. So again, they're trying to, but then he looks up at the garbage x-rays on the light board, where the light thingies.
Yeah.
And he stands there looking at the garbage x-rays. And then when suddenly he's just stabbed through the back of the neck by some kind of like pointy, long piece of metal. I have no idea what it is.
It looked like a saw almost.
I thought it was like a tent stake.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out.
I had no idea. And then while blood splatters, and then he dies, he falls down, more chanting surge.
Yeah, he slowly slides down while it cuts open the drape that he got stabbed from behind. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. Now we cut to the surgeon walking down a dark hallway, and my God, is he walking slow. I know, like Jason, Michael Myers,
Dramatic effect.
walking slow, but Jesus,
jeez.
fuck me, no one would walk this slow ever.
Jesus, fuck me.
I've seen zombies walk faster than this. Hell, the tortoise from the Tortoise and the Hare, like, hurry the fuck up, dude. It's like, seriously, he's like, almost like, he's walking like a half-inch steps down this hallway.
It's all heel toe, and every time his heel strikes, it's like, roll it all the way down. Now pick up your other foot, and heel, touch, roll the foot all the way.
So the surgeon now enters Susan's room. She screams when she comes in. And he just wheels her gurney out into the elevator, keeping her, like, her mouth covered so the muffler screams. He takes her to an operating room, places her on the operating table, and once he has her on the table, he reaches out for his surgical instruments. He picks up this thing that looks like a tiny circular saw blade on a stick. Like, I don't know what this thing is supposed to be, but
I don't know what it is either. Like, I've seen surgical instruments, and it looks like one, but I don't know what the fuck it's for.
Yeah, it's not a full saw, but it's like if you took like a circular saw blade, cut it in
gnarly.
half, and then you put it on a stick. Like, that's what
like
this thing is.
Yeah, on a surgical instrument. Yeah, it looks gnarly, you know.
Yeah. So then Susan reaches out, pulls off his mask to reveal to what should be to no one's surprise, Harry. And Harry says his name is Harold. Again, no one's surprised there. And this is just, I don't know, because and this is just for us stupid audience viewers who don't remember. We get some black and white flashbacks of the very opening scene where, while we get, it's Harry, it's not Harry, it's Harold. Do you remember? Echoes over and over and over again, all these flashbacks. It's not Harry, it's Harold. Remember? It's not Harry, it's Harold. Remember? It's not. It's just over. It's so.
And they're showing the flashbacks of the kids
because like we apparently are too stupid to remember this.
And this is when I was like, what? What in the what? Okay, hold on. This is where I got some major problems. When she was a kid, she saw Harold kill her kid on a coat rack.
Yeah.
You think there'd probably be some follow-up there,
yeah,
right?
I thought the same thing, like, why is this kid not juvie? Why is it?
Right.
Maybe he was, and we skipped over that.
But still, two, this is a traumatic experience that she witnessed as a kid. Now, I know people change and develop in a little bit here and there, but you'd think you'd fucking recognize the person that you had a PTSD moment when from being a child.
Yeah.
You see him as a grown-up, you'd be like, ah! You make the connection. Hi, my name's Harry Harold. It's not a big fucking
No,
leap.
it's not a leap at all.
Jesus Christ. And I'm thinking, how the hell did this fucking psychotic kid get out of juvie or wherever and then still get through medical school?
Medical school.
All the time, deciding just on a whim, today's the day I'm gonna fuck with Susan again.
Yeah, like, how did he know her results were there? How does he know any of this stuff? Like, none of this makes, there's no sense. There's no way he would have known that she came there for a test, or that she was coming in today for her results, and to plan all this out, it's wow. There's no way this is possible. So Susan asks him what he wants, and he tells her he wants what he's
The same thing
always
he-
wanted,
Yep.
her heart.
Bum, bum, bum. Bum.
Harold brings like the weird saw blade thingy down to cut her when the three crazy ladies enter the doorway and say, "Is that you, Dr. Jacobs? Is that you, Dr. Jacobs?"
Mind you, Dr. Jacobs is a woman.
Yeah. The three crazy ladies again just show up out of nowhere, but apparently this time they saved the day.
And they show him at a distance. They're on the hallway, and it's sure enough, it's just foggy in there for no
Yeah.
reason. Oh.
So, seeing her opening, the Harold distracted, Susan grabs some sort of large knife off the tray.
Fucking
stabs-
giant
It's
knife.
like, I don't know what they'd be using this in surgery for. She stabs him with it, just gives her an opening. She runs out of the room. Harold gives chase, pushing past the old ladies.
They both just like plow the old ladies over.
Yeah.
You know?
Susan ends up in another large storage room because, god damn, this. I mean, let's use storage rooms
Why
again.
not?
Filled top to bottom with more glass speakers and vials. Harold enters panting and breathing heavily. He's still got the knife sticking out of him. He's bleeding everywhere. He's looking for her, and so the cat and mouse game begins at this point. She tries to climb a ladder. I don't know why or where she thought this was going to lead her, because I'll just climb this ladder to nowhere. But she's grabbed by Harold, and on the very top shelf, Susan gets her hands on a very large, uncovered glass bottle that is labeled highly flammable. What the fuck? Why would this be left open, sitting on the top shelf in the
Just
hospital?
a big glass jar of it.
Just highly flammable, no protection, no coverage, just on the top rickety shelf. Just it's the same shit we saw in Horror High, where the acid is just on a rickety shelf.
Yeah,
just put it there.
That was like a joke, though. Like, it's
No,
just,
that was stored in the chemistry room. Just stored
It's
there.
ridiculous. She just throws it down on
It just
Harold.
pours it all over the guy's face and his head.
And he's like, oh, he's distracted. He gets hurt from
All I
it.
gotta say is this hospital better count their lucky stars that Yelp was not around at this time.
Wah, wah.
You give me no credit for my joke.
Hey, it wasn't bad, but I think it's more of a Angie's List thing. You heard of Angie's List?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think Angie's List better?
Yeah,
than
that's where you recommend.
I thought everything was on Yelp
doctors.
though now.
Well, yeah, I don't. I always think of restaurants. It's always restaurants.
Yeah, but you get restaurants, bars. Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah. Angie's List. That would have been better.
They have all sorts of things on there. They have I found modeling agencies on Yelp reviews. That came up in a search for some reason.
All right.
I don't know. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. My joke's ruined. I hate it. I'm never gonna do it again. Fuck this. Susan pours the liquid over Harold's head. We already covered that. Fuck it. I'm moving on. So she runs to the fire door and she opens it up as Harold enters the hallway. And he starts down towards her. Up she goes until she comes out onto the rooftop. Again, the rooftop. Not let's run out to the first floor and out to get help. Let's run up to the highest point of the hospital where absolutely nobody will ever be.
She's been pretty unsuccessful finding help anyway. She's run down the hall like 4 or 5 times.
Still,
this
I would
movie,
want to try
screaming for help.
Go out to the first floor and get out of the hospital. At least,
I've been saying that this whole movie.
Yeah.
Just leave. Anytime you want to leave,
Just
you
leave.
can leave.
So Harold manages to climb the stairs, and then he pulls the knife out of his gut. He bursts out onto the roof looking for Susan. She finds a metal pipe, bashes him over the head with it several times. He drops motionless to the floor. She's thinking he's dead or unconscious, so
And
she's
it's
like,
that same thing I've been saying all the time. You got him on the ropes, you just finish him fucking up.
Yep.
Like, hit him into like Negan that shit.
Yes.
Just keep bashing till there's a bloody stump.
bloody pudding on the ground. So she tries to step over him, only to get grabbed, of course. She's grabbed by the ankle, pulled down. Harold crawls on top of her. He raises the knife to stab her. She struggles to hold him off while still being able to grab the lighter that she dropped.
Loves that lighter.
Loves the lighter.
Smoking saves.
She gets
kids.
the lighter. She lights it, sets Harold on fire. Harold jumps up in all blaze, runs around the roof, screaming. And in the last ditch effort to get Susan, he runs at her. She sidesteps him, and Harold goes falling over the ledge, plummeting several stories to the ground below. Smack. And we cut to Susan fully dressed exiting the hospital where she's greeted by her daughter and ex-husband.
In the daytime.
In the daytime now.
Hospital's operating. People are being wheeled
Oh, yeah,
in.
son, it's alive and bustling.
Right.
There's people all over the
Right.
place now.
Now there's people all, but no cops,
No cops.
ambulance,
No ambulance.
nothing like that. Just people walking in and out
You
like
hear,
it's a normal
you
day.
do hear sirens off in the background, but I guarantee it has nothing to do with the dead, burning body on the side of the
Right.
building. It's just some
God.
guy bringing some. So, roll the credits, which are just an eye-straining blur of messiness, and that's X-ray / hospital massacre.
Oy.
So that's it. So let's move on to our favorite kills for this week.
There can be only one. Favorite kill?
Aaron, what do you got?
This movie, god damn it. I do like the way the guy killed. The way he stabbed. He stabbed with some fucking emotion.
Yeah.
And like it looked like he's really stabbing these people. I mean, it was well done. I got to give him credit there. But I think my favorite kill was strangling the nurse with the stethoscope, putting her in the wheelchair, and being like, "Wah!" and just shoving her into her room. I love that kill. It was so fun.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one.
I hard to argue that, man. That's such a good one. Janitor face acid bath isn't bad,
With his post freak out,
yeah.
which was awesome.
Yeah. I also like the very first one, the kid in the hat rack, because I can't wrap my head around this. There's so many questions I don't have answered about this. I want to know more. And it's death by hat rack. That's crazy.
Death by a hat rack.
Okay, favorite kill. Oh god, wheelchair's great. I love nurse in wheelchair. Fuck it. I don't want to say the same as you. I'll go with. I can't go hung a carrot because you don't see the death. Fuck it. I guess I'll go wheelchair. Strangle her in the wheelchair and just throw her away.
So much fun.
It is. It was great. All right, so there it is. We're both same one this week. Moving on to odds and ends.
Not only did they watch these films, they researched them too. Ugh, what is wrong with these guys?
All right, ratings. IMDb gives it a 4.9 out of 10.
Oh.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, there's no thermometer score, and it only has a 20% audience score. And Amazon, it has a 2 out of 5.
Wow, that's pretty low for Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon usually, it's almost always 3s.
At least 3.
Yeah. You get a 2, ooh, you're doing something wrong, motherfucker.
Plot keywords, there were 41, but
Panties?
I did.
There are panties.
Ding, ding, ding. Panties are back.
Yes!
Yes. Panties is one of the plot keywords.
God damn, panty lovers, unite!
Along with peeping Tom, bare breast, hanged child murderer, and surprise ending. Which I just read them because I want to comment. This, by no
Really
way,
not
shape, or a surprise
ending. Yeah.
There's not a surprise at all in this. Again, maybe for the early 80s there's a surprise, but even then it's pretty damn obvious what's going on here. Moving on to trivia. First, like I said, this movie has an identity crisis when it comes to names. It has 4 different titles.
This movie has 4 different titles?
It's been known as Hospital Massacre, X-Ray, Ward 13, and Be My Valentine, ... or else.
Ward 13.
Ward 13.
Ward 13.
Yeah.
They don't ever...
No. The word ward is only mentioned one time when the nurse tells Hal, go back to your ward. That's it. Never mentioned again.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because they're on the... Excuse me. They're always like on the 8th floor or 9th floor.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
It'd be like murder at the 9th floor. That'd make more sense than Ward 13.
Yeah.
Be My Valentine or else.
Yeah.
And man, we're doing this movie because it's Valentine's Day and, but they really... There's all the thing that you know about it being Valentine's Day is that there's a few decorations at the hospital.
Well, first of all, the opening scene is
yeah,
like Cupid flew up in the house. Or something.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, they never mention it. They never reference it. They never kind of come back to it. They have the
the cake in the box
so you can Be My Valentine. But that's it.
Yeah. It's very very sparse on the Valentine's Day theme.
Right.
But like I said, it did come up when I was doing searches for Valentine's Day horror movies, and I didn't want to do My Bloody Valentine, either one of the remake or the original, because everybody knows that one.
Right.
And the other one I thought about doing would have been the David Boreas movie Valentine, which I thought about doing, but then I was like, you know what, I want to do something odder and weirder.
You definitely found it.
So
You found it. You found it.
And other than that, that's pretty much it for Valentine's Day horror movies. Like we did Lover's Lane last year, then that's pretty much it. So anyway, going back to trivia, the film was shot at night in an actual abandoned hospital. Now, according to an interview with the director Boaz Davidson, the set was very crowded on the day of star Barbi Benton's nude scene when that was shot. So apparently the set was packed because everybody wanted to see her naked. Which I don't blame him. I would have been there too if I could have been. Like, yep. So apparently Boaz was also a last-minute replacement for the original director who got fired after he failed to provide some money that he promised to put into the production of the film. Writer-director Boaz Davidson makes a cameo. He's the suspicious doctor who comes up behind Susan when she's on the payphone and just stands there waiting.
Oh, yeah, that weirdo.
With the beard, the creepy guy. Yeah, that's him. And looking like, he does look like a Boaz. Now, this movie was rushed into production to capitalize on the slasher boom of the 80s. Just for few film buffs, this is part of the infamous/famous Canon Films film catalog. So which is another reason why it's so goddamn bad, because it's part of the Canon Films. Now moving on, budget, I could not find the budget, unfortunately, so there's no budget game this week. But that does bring us to 5-star reviews.
Is this your guilty pleasure? 5-star reviews.
All right, this week, only 2. Only 2.
Not really a big surprise.
Yeah. From Do I Need a Pen Name? Great cheese, well worth seeing for fans of the 80s, 5 stars. That's it.
Boo.
And from Mr. Tango, so awful, so good, 5 stars. Now, there were 34% of the reviews on Amazon, which were the most, were all 1-star reviews.
Wow.
And there was, I think it was like 2% or 6% or something like that. It was 6% for the 2 5 stars. So
and the rest, so it was 5 stars and 1 stars. Huh?
It was basically, it was like 34% for like 1 star. Then it was like, I think like 20, 19, 16, and like 6 or something. Like it was going from lowest to highest. But yeah, it was all pretty shitty. So, with that said, let's go into our consensus here. What's our thoughts here on this one?
So bad it's scary.
So bad it's scary from Aaron.
It was not we've seen movies from the 80s that were done well, that had the mystery, but I mean, there was just so many like moments that were kind of, that didn't make sense when you look back on it. And I think one thing you said you wanted to mention, which I also noticed.
Oh, yes.
Was
okay, yes.
When
Thank you.
He kills Susie, the secretary.
Yeah.
Plants the evidence, the false evidence, leaves the room, and then obviously because we found out he's Harry later in the movie, he leaves the room, takes off his shit, and comes right back in and grabs it.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I was going to comment on. It does make no sense at all. Like, one, why, if you're going to kill her, okay, why plant the evidence just to turn around and come back and get it?
That's so dumb.
Why not just take it with you after you kill her?
Why did you even have to kill that lady?
I mean, I get if you needed to plant the fake evidence and you had
or destroy the original evidence, or
get rid of the original,
yeah.
But you already had the fake one in your hand when you brought it into the room.
Put it in the typewriter
just to take it back out,
just to come back and grab it.
I know. I think that's exactly what I was going to comment on. So, okay, you knew where I was going with that.
Well,
it's the stupidest thing
so
in the movie.
dumb, but and maybe they could have explored that, being he had an identity crisis, like he had a split personality or something like that. But no, they didn't do any shit like that. And there's too many holes. Big holes. That's a big fucking hole.
This one.
Like, so many holes with this movie. It just, and you know, if it could have been okay. It could have been. I mean, I'm not going to say it was going to be a great movie, but if you just tightened up the writing, it could have been better. So yeah, it just sucked.
All right. Now see, I was coming into this, I was actually thinking so bad it's good, just because like I was hoping like, okay, it's kind of a long lost horror movie. I'd never heard about it until I looked it up and started doing it. And at first, like, okay, it's not that bad. I've seen worse. It's not great by any means, but I think I'm going to have to change my answer. Probably So Bad It's Scary, even though I was coming to it thinking I was going to say So Bad It's Good, because I thought it was worth at least a watch. You know, there's some things that are good. Like Barbi Benton's pretty good. Seeing her naked's great.
She's hot.
The three crazy women are just insane to watch. How? I mean, and then and I get what they were trying to do. Like there was a lot of potential to be had, but they just fucked it up really bad.
Yeah.
The plot holes are almost inexcusable. The writing's bad. And just the setting. I know they're trying to make a hospital scary, but Halloween 2 did better. Like that was much better. Granted, it's a smaller hospital in a smaller town, which I worked having such a small crew. But this being giant, those lights would never be off. There'd always be people around. It doesn't work.
Such a gigantic hospital.
It's massive.
It's like 30 floors. I don't know where they found. Somewhere in LA, I'm sure.
Yeah, it had to be LA.
God damn. I mean, it's so big. You can't. It's hard to get by with the excuse of someone running down the hall,
Screaming bloody murder,
being chased by a weirdo with a sheet, you know,
and then
with no one that you can be like, shut up or something, you know, like,
or in the fact
keep
that
it down.
nobody ever finds any of the bodies in a hospital.
Well, you probably chopped them up and put them in that giant.
Not the one in the wheelchair. You just push into a random room,
which I love.
And the girl in the sheet he left lying in the hallway. Nobody finds the bodies, and
I mean, the ER is always buzzing. Cops are coming and going.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot happening in hospitals.
There's like what at least. I've never worked in a hospital. I'm saying when I've been in a hospital and there's at least, I say 2 to 4, maybe 5 night nurses that handle everything. And then when my daughter was born overnight, we had the floor nurse was packed in the maternity ward. There's nurses all over the place at like 2, 3 in the morning. So there's no excuse to this. It's just bad. And I'm ranting on about use. I'm switching my vote to So Bad It's Scary. Boom. Done. Notarize it. Notarize it. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Remember, in the meantime, check us out on our Facebook page, YouTube, Google Play, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. We're all there. You can find us. You know where we're at.
We're on Podbean too.
We're on Podbean as well.
iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, horriblehorror.podcast.com.
So in the meantime, watch more horror movies, guys. Enjoy your Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Moon Goons.
Happy Valentine's Day. And remember, keep it tight, y'all.